The lobby buzzed with familiar avatars, their colors bouncing across the screen in the low hum of anticipation. Elon Musk's name appeared in bright blue letters, E_Musk. He'd chosen the cyan crewmate, a color that clashed with the muted grays and whites of the other players but seemed intentional, as if shouting, "Look, I'm different." "Wait, is that really Elon?" asked Red Rooster, a grounded NASA engineer who always played as Red. His voice crackled through the chat. "Yeah, it's me," Elon replied, his tone casual but laced with that unmistakable edge of confidence. "Figured I'd take a break from running simulations for real spaceships to, fix a cartoon one." A burst of laughter came from the ISS team, their voices slightly delayed over the satellite link. Baron, the rookie astronaut, chuckled nervously, his own yellow avatar bouncing in place. "Careful, Elon. The imposter might take you out just for flexing." "I'll take my chances," Elon said. "Though I do have a few thoughts on the design of this ship. The O2 system seems horribly inefficient." "Here we go," muttered Stellar Steve, a veteran astronaut, playing as White. "Can't wait to hear how you'd revolutionize among us." "Think about it," Elon continued, unfazed. "If you integrated a regenerative life support loop instead of these, task panels, the system would practically fix itself. You wouldn't need crewmates crawling through corridors to." "Elon, it's a game," Baron interjected, his tone polite but firm. "Not one of your design meetings." The group fell into a rhythm of good-natured teasing, but Elon didn't mind. He seemed to thrive on it. Beneath the jokes, there was a strange camaraderie, a shared understanding of the weight of spaceflight, even when filtered through the pixels of a video game. "All right, everyone ready?" asked Mission Control, a NASA moderator, playing as Green. "Ready," Elon replied. Then, after a pause, he added with a smirk, "But I'm not saying I won't win." The countdown began, 10. 9. 8. Through his screen, Baron watched the cyan crewmate stand perfectly still, as if bracing for liftoff. A small smile crept across his face. "You better not mess this up, Elon." 3. 2. 1. Start. The game began, and crewmates scattered across the ship. Elon's cyan character moved with purpose, making a beeline for the reactor. "Of course he's already sprinting to fix things," muttered Stellar Steve as his white avatar lingered near the cafeteria. Elon's voice chimed in over the chat. "Reactor calibration. This system design is clever, simple interface, quick diagnostics. But why doesn't it have a secondary backup if one crewmate fails?" "Because it's a game, Elon." Red Rooster groaned. Elon didn't respond. His avatar was already at the task panel, moving in small, precise patterns that seemed out of sync with the frantic dashing of the others. Baron, playing as Yellow, finished swiping his card in admin and headed toward navigation. On his way, he passed Elon, who was still at the reactor, obsessively adjusting the sliders. Elon?" Baron asked cautiously. "You've been at that task for a while." "I'm optimizing the calibration. Whoever coded this task left room for error." "Just finish the task, man," Baron said, trying to stifle a laugh. Suddenly, an alarm blared across the ship. Someone had reported a body. The screen shifted to the emergency meeting, where the crewmates floated in silence, their tiny avatars staring each other down. "Okay, who found the body?" asked Mission Control. "It was me," Red Rooster said. "In electrical. I saw blue near reactor." "That's Elon," Baron said. "He was, doing tasks." Elon cut in, sounding offended. "Doing tasks? I was fixing the ship. Someone has to take this seriously." "That's what an imposter would say," Stellar Steve replied. Voices overlapped in a flurry of accusations and defenses. Elon's insistence on explaining his every move only deepened the group's suspicion. Why are you so obsessed with the ship design, Elon? Mission Control asked. Because if I were designing it, it wouldn't need this much maintenance, Elon replied. And for the record, I'm not the imposter. I'm the only one who cares about keeping this ship running. In the end, the vote was inconclusive. No one was ejected, and the game resumed. Back aboard the ISS, the astronauts chuckled as they adjusted their positions in the cramped quarters of the observation module, floating weightlessly while playing. This is surreal, Baron muttered, toggling his push-to-talk. Playing Among Us with Elon Musk. Surreal is one word for it, Stellar Steve replied. I call it exhausting. The guy doesn't stop talking. He's just intense, Baron said, defending Elon without entirely understanding why. He watched Elon's cyan avatar dart toward navigation, seemingly oblivious to the tension building among the other players. Hey, Baron, Stellar Steve said, you think he's an imposter? Baron hesitated. I don't know. He's weird, sure. But I think he's just trying too hard to win. You're too nice. Trust me, he's guilty of something. The conversation trailed off as another alarm sounded, O2 sabotage. Panic erupted as the countdown began, the air hissing away in the simulated corridors. Elon's voice was the first to cut through the chaos. Everyone to O2. Split up and clear both panels. We only have 30 seconds. His cyan crewmate sprinted toward the lower O2 panel, followed closely by Baron's yellow. Elon's rapid, decisive commands left no room for argument. The room felt heavier with each passing second, the timer ticking dangerously close to zero. Got it. Elon called as the O2 sabotage was cleared. Wow, Mission Control said, out of breath. Nice save, Elon. Yeah, but doesn't it seem a little too convenient? Stellar Steve muttered. What's that supposed to mean? Elon shot back. It means, Steve continued, you knew exactly what to do, like you'd planned it. That's because I understand how ships work. Elon said, his frustration bubbling. It's not suspicious to know what you're doing. The tension carried into the next emergency meeting, where the debate intensified. I'm just saying, Steve argued, he's acting like this is some SpaceX training sim, not a game. That's because I take space seriously, Elon retorted. This ship is falling apart, and you're wasting time accusing me instead of fixing it. Once again, the votes were split. Elon avoided ejection, but just barely. As the meeting ended and the crewmates dispersed, Baron found himself trailing behind Elon's cyan avatar. Something about the man didn't add up, but not in the way the others thought. Elon wasn't scheming, he was trying too hard. Baron couldn't decide if that made him trustworthy or more suspicious than ever. The next round began with a new urgency. The crewmates were scattered in the aftermath of the O2 sabotage, and Baron felt the weight of his responsibility as a rookie astronaut. He'd only been in space for a few months, but his training kicked in. There were tasks to complete, but more than that, there was a strange vibe growing around Elon. He followed Elon, watching his cyan avatar move quickly through the corridors, always fixing things. First, he adjusted the wires in electrical. Then, he fixed the shields in the lower reactor room. Every task, every move was precise, too precise. He was always busy with something, almost like he was running a checklist. Baron floated in the shadows of the ship, trying to stay out of Elon's sight. His own yellow avatar hovered near medbay, performing his own task, but his eyes stayed locked on Elon. Something about the way he was working, always focused, always alone, felt off. Then it happened. A body was discovered in the hallway just outside the admin room. Not again, Red Rooster grumbled. Who died this time? Green, came Stellar Steve's voice, and I saw Elon near that area a minute ago. I didn't kill anyone, Elon immediately countered, his voice sharp. I was fixing the communications panel. Again. Someone has to keep this ship running. But why are you always fixing things? Baron blurted, unable to hold it in anymore. No one else gets that involved. Elon's avatar froze for a moment before continuing, moving away from the task panel. Because you need someone who understands how it all works. The other crewmates were already beginning their accusations. They debated, raised their voices. As the discussion shifted toward Elon, Baron's gut twisted. He couldn't put his finger on it, but something about Elon's actions seemed too clean, too practiced. Still, when the vote came, it was split again. No one was ejected. The next sabotage came with a warning: the lights went out. The ship was cloaked in darkness, and the crewmates scrambled to their tasks, stumbling through corridors, bumping into walls. Baron moved cautiously, his yellow avatar navigating in the shadows. He felt the adrenaline rush through his veins as he approached electrical, where the lights were most likely being repaired. There, he saw Elon's cyan avatar again, alone. Elon was fiddling with the wiring, but not in a normal way. He wasn't just fixing the issue, he was moving in a loop, repeating the same action over and over again. It was unnatural. Wait, no, Baron whispered, realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. Before he could make his move, Red Rooster's voice crackled through the chat. Who was in electrical? I saw something strange. Elon cut in, his voice defensive. I fixed it, okay? I'm doing what needs to be done. But you're not, Baron replied, stepping into the conversation. Elon, you're the one who's always fixing things. It's too perfect. You're doing everything to keep us distracted. Distracted from what? Elon shot back, his voice colder now. The group was silent for a long moment, the suspicion thickening. And then, in a surprising twist, Baron voted for Elon. It wasn't easy, but it felt like the only logical choice. He had to act. The cyan avatar floated out into space, expelled from the game. I'm not the imposter, Elon's voice echoed one last time as his avatar vanished into the void. You'll see. You'll all see. As the vote passed, Baron felt a strange mix of guilt and relief. He had done what he thought was necessary, but there was a lingering unease in his chest. Was he wrong? Had they just ejected the wrong person? With Elon gone, the ship returned to its eerie quiet. The other crewmates were on edge, but the work had to continue. Baron moved through the ship, checking off tasks like everyone else. Yet the more he thought about it, the more he began to wonder. Was he sure? Was Elon really the imposter? I don't know, Baron, Stellar Steve said in the chat, voice tight. It feels too easy. Too clean. Baron couldn't argue. He kept replaying the scenes in his head, Elon's incessant need to fix everything, his insistence on being the most competent, the most involved. But that was the point, wasn't it? He wasn't acting like an imposter, he was trying too hard. A ping interrupted his thoughts. Sabotage in reactor. The oxygen levels were rapidly dropping, and the air felt thick with the pressure of it all. Baron rushed to fix it, but as he moved through the hallways, the unease crept up again. The ship was too quiet. Too predictable. Another emergency meeting was called. It's getting ridiculous, Red Rooster said. We've already ejected one person and we're still no closer to finding the imposter. Baron looked around at the others, feeling a knot in his stomach. There was no definitive answer, no sure way to know. But something felt off. Someone was playing them all. When the debate grew louder, Baron spoke up. I think I made a mistake. I should have been more certain about Elon. But now. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The ship's power went down again, and the voice of Mission Control echoed, "Emergency meeting." Now. Baron's heart raced. The imposters, there were two of them. He didn't know who they were yet, but he could feel the weight of his earlier decision crushing him. If they didn't figure it out soon, it would be too late. The ship seemed to creak as the crewmates floated in a tense silence after the meeting. Baron's thoughts swirled in a fog of doubt and guilt. He couldn't shake the feeling that they'd been wrong to eject Elon. In the hours following, the game's mood had shifted. It was no longer just about tasks, it was about survival. As the lights flickered again, Baron felt a strange sensation, a pull toward the lower reactor. He moved quickly, but something unusual caught his eye. Elon's cyan avatar, now a ghost, was drifting through the walls, silently moving from room to room, completing tasks. Baron stared, bewildered. Was Elon helping them? In the quiet hum of the ship, a new message appeared on his screen. Need help with reactor, the message read, sent by the ghost of Elon. Baron paused. Was this some kind of trick? But as he watched Elon's avatar effortlessly complete a series of complex repairs in the reactor, Baron's suspicions shifted. The cyan figure wasn't interfering. It was doing what no one else would. For a fleeting moment, Baron realized that Elon wasn't out to sabotage the game. He wasn't the imposter. He had been trying to save the ship, just like Baron himself would if he were in Elon's shoes. He typed into the chat, "Guys, I think I was wrong about Elon. He's helping us." The other crewmates didn't respond immediately. Instead, Baron watched as Elon ghosted through the walls once more, silently setting things right. As the imposters grew bolder, eliminating crewmates one by one, Baron could feel the tension building. He was beginning to understand the game, and what had gone wrong. The two imposters, Stellar Steve and Red Rooster, had played a clever game of shadows. They were calm, calculating, slipping between tasks without raising suspicion. But now, with only 3 crewmates left, the final showdown loomed. Baron moved with purpose. The ship was on the brink. If they didn't identify the imposters now, it would be over. As he passed through the reactor room, a body was discovered. It was Mission Control, and the atmosphere turned icy. "We need to vote now," Baron said, his voice steady. He had learned something from Elon's behavior. Quiet confidence was key. "It's between Steve and Rooster. One of them is the imposter." Red Rooster tried to defend himself. "You can't blame me for what's happening. It's just bad luck." Baron didn't respond, his focus narrowing. He glanced over at Elon's ghost, who hovered near electrical. The cyan figure drifted toward him, and Baron realized something. Elon had already figured it out. They were just too late. "Vote Steve," Elon's ghost seemed to say, the silent message clear. When the vote came through, Stellar Steve was ejected. He was the second imposter. "I'll admit," Stellar Steve said before being flung into space, "you're smarter than I thought." Baron breathed a sigh of relief, but the game wasn't over yet. One imposter remained. The final task was completed, and the crewmates gathered for one last emergency meeting. The game had been intense, but now, in the afterglow of victory, the tension slowly began to dissolve. Baron watched the others, each avatar floating in their assigned positions, eyes fixed on the screen. "You all did great," Red Rooster said, his tone more relaxed than before. "But I can't believe I got caught up in that." "You did get a little too comfortable, didn't you?" Mission Control teased. "I knew something was off." Baron stayed quiet, his mind focused on the past few hours. The final vote had been easy. Red Rooster was the last imposter, and with his ejection, the game finally ended. But Baron felt a shift inside. It was something more than just winning. He messaged Elon privately after the game ended. "I'm sorry about before," Baron wrote. "I should have trusted you." A few moments later, Elon's response came. "Apology accepted, Baron. You'll see, in space or in games, sometimes the best way to win is just to fix what's broken. Baron smiled, letting the words settle in. He was beginning to understand. Elon wasn't just an eccentric billionaire. He was someone who knew how to get things done, even when everyone else doubted him. And in that moment, Baron knew the truth: Elon Musk wasn't the imposter. He was just ahead of the curve. The game was over. But Baron felt something more than relief. He felt the spark of something deeper: respect. And perhaps, just maybe, the beginning of an unlikely friendship. As the screen faded to black, Baron floated silently, grateful for the lesson learned in the most unexpected of places.